Hello, friends, brethren, and beta readers. This is my Cradle Catholic Dummy number 2 video. So this week in Catholic churches around the world, we have been celebrating the Feast of the Epiphany. Last Sunday, the visiting priest started his homily with this analogy. Remember the old Looney Tune cartoons when the character would have a light bulb overhead? And then it would flash on. That was his definition of an epiphany. I totally remembered those cartoons, but from the congregation reaction, no one else did. Me and the priest are about the same age, and we were probably some of the oldest people at church. Anyway, this priest, Father Rick, continued with his homily. By the way, Catholic priests' guidelines are to preach on the readings for that day's lectionary. That's the missalette that we have in the pews. This part of the Mass is also known as proclaiming the Word. The readings were about the three wise men known as the Magi, who came from the east, likely from ancient Persia, which is modern Iran, Arabia, or Babylonia. They were guided by a star to find the newborn king of the Jews. As prophesied in the Old Testament, the factual reference would be the Messiah or Son of God. The three men were likely astrologers or priests familiar with prophecies about a coming Messiah, possibly through Jewish exiles. They were bringing gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh to the infant Jesus. Now, the Cradle Catholic Dummy is going into overthinking mode. That's me, the Cradle Catholic Dummy. I'm always overthinking everything. So I have a few questions. Why did the wise men go to the King Herod to begin with? Were they not following a guiding star? Maybe they needed permission to pass through Judea. Perhaps they needed to know where to cross to the west side of the Jordan River. Too many unanswered questions. And truthfully, would it change the history of Jesus' human life if the history of the Magi and the killing of innocent Jewish boys were removed from the Bible? The Epiphany would have to be scrubbed also. If Father Rick summed up the Epiphany with the light bulb, and he summed it up with these words: the feast is fundamentally about the revelation of God's saving grace planned for all people, not just a few, signifying Christ's manifestation to the Gentiles, non-Jews, through the visit of the Magi. This feast day celebrates the universal invitation to salvation, emphasizing that God's grace and light extends to every nation and individual, fulfilling prophecy and establishing equality in the new covenant. So last Sunday was truly an epiphany. Never mind, I have to scrub that. Take care, infinite peace. Epiphany.